All right, I'd like to welcome you folks to the Nanoscale Science and Engineering Thrust Review. I'll kick things off here. As you know, Mike Acosta is our thrust leader. Bob did a nice job covering this, but I'll quickly touch on the motivation here for our spring review. We've got a couple of different things that I'm going to cover here very quickly. I'll give you a quick overview of the thrust portfolio. Mike will say a few words, and then we will quickly move into the reviews. And as Bob said, they are rapid fire. And I will stand up when your time has expired and just kind of hang out over here and just give you an indication that we need to kind of roll along. And if you have questions that are going to bleed over into the next person's time, maybe we can save those for the break. We have one coming up at 2:40. So quickly, we wanted to bring folks together here, and this is a great opportunity to do that, to showcase our discoveries and foster collaborative opportunities for our researchers. We're also interested in fostering transparency in terms of our thrust investments, and that's why I will share with you some numbers here about where our investments have gone in this particular thrust. We wanted to provide a quick update on, we wanted to hear your updates on your technical progress, some of the challenges you've encountered, and find ways that ICTOS can help. Obviously, this is our first time running these particular types of reviews, so any of you interested in providing feedback, it's certainly welcome. So in FY13, ICTOS invested about $660K into the Nanoscale Science and Engineering Thrust. That funding was distributed among three primary areas here, where we focus our research and discovery efforts in the NSE Thrust. That includes plasmonic nanostructures and assembly, sustainable bio-nanomaterials, and environmental nanoscience. We've also been focusing on what we call our new horizons in nanoscale science and engineering. This is broadening the scope of our nanoscale science and engineering research across campus. There are a few areas that we consider to be emerging strengths here at Virginia Tech, and we're starting to look very closely at those. Quickly, to give you an overview of what our thrust portfolio looks like, I know this is a bit of an eye chart. But you can see here the numbers. I'm sorry, that first number is a little bit off from the previous number, but about 687K went into this thrust. It was distributed. About 324K went to seed projects. 112K went to the thrust area, which was also dispersed by different seed projects. We have $75,000 going to VT Sun, which is our Center for Sustainable Nanomaterials. And then there's an equipment line item here that is counted between both the Nanoscale Science and Engineering and Nanobiointerface Thrust, 150K towards a TEM replacement out at the NCFL. We've had a lot of great activities going on within this thrust, and I'll probably in the interest of time, I'll let Mike talk a little bit more about those when he makes his remarks. A few important notes. Again, Mike will touch on one important development within this thrust, which is the focus on the next generation NNIN. Mike will say a few words about that. The ICTOS BAA, I'm just trying to make sure everyone is aware of that new funding mechanism that we have within ICTOS. If you have any questions about that, please talk with me. I mentioned the new horizons in nanoscale science and engineering. We're interested in looking at opportunities to bring additional faculty together in those core areas. You've probably heard about the release of the ICTOS strategic plan. That's available on our website. It's an important kind of roadmap for where we're headed, and it also lays out some emphasis areas for the nanoscale science and engineering thrust. I've listed those here. You can certainly go on the website and find out more details about them. We'll be focusing on earth nanosystems, engineered nanosystems, sustainable nanomanufacturing, and then what I mentioned were our new horizons in nanoscale science and engineering. So I'll try to move this thing along and invite Mike up here to say a few words about the thrust. And Mike, we have, let's see, we're right at 110 now. So, so go backwards if you can.
I'll try to talk in anti-time. So thanks, Matt. I'll just talk literally for 2 minutes. And wanted to let you know that concerning NNIN, that's the National Nanotechnology Infrastructure Network. Proposal for that, the next generation. The proposal for that is going in about 2 months. And listen to this. We have every indication that will be funded by NSF. Just put it that way. It's almost like a non-compete kind of thing. And we were not in it for the first 10 years, but we've been chosen to be in it for the next 10 years. And here are the schools that are in it. So this is the company that Virginia Tech now has Stanford, Cornell, Berkeley, Harvard, MIT, UC Santa Barbara, Georgia Tech, Michigan, Penn State, Purdue, Duke, Minnesota, Northwestern, Rice, ASU, Howard, Washington, and Purdue. And they needed an environmental nano and a geo nano node for this network. And so here are the schools that they chose from. We were a candidate, Virginia Tech, along with Rice, Penn State, Duke, Northwestern, Purdue, Washington, Berkeley, Stanford, and Minnesota. And guess who they picked? They picked us. And they picked us because of ICTOS. If ICTOS wasn't here, this would have never happened. Our budget is close to $450,000 per year. That means when you add that and everything else that I'm responsible here at Virginia Tech that we need ICTOS for, just the things I'm responsible for, it's $1.1 million per year. And if you add things like what Peter's going to talk about in his grants, Lindsay, Amy, and Sean, etc., it's well over, I haven't even added up yet, but it must be way over $1.5 million per year. And now we're considered the #1 nano environmental and nano geo node in the country. Roop always wanted us to be top 3. I've got bad news for you. I'm afraid we're #1.